afternoon, everybody. We are back at the right side of campus. We're live Monday, September 11th, 2017. I'm the big man on campus here with my co-host, Donnie Rightside, on a manic Monday here, getting back at it. Week 1 NFL is in the books. Week 2 college is in the books. Donnie, before we get into it, though, I do want to discuss something that I try to do every year we get to this day. Remembering all the people that died on this day 16 years ago. I know where I was. I know you probably remember where you were. We all remember that day. I was in 7th grade. I remember, the things that I heard. I remember the things I saw. We will never see, hopefully we'll never see something like that again. To all the people that died, all the first responders, all the poor people that died, we look back and we remember them today because we seem sometimes to forget those things, and they could play stuff on TV about it, but truly memorable. I'll never forget where I was that day.
No, crazy. Yeah, I was at a mortgage company at that point, but I mean, I actually go into work late. I remember waking up and logging on to the internet back then. Obviously, in 2001, it was like AOL or whatever,
sure.
Whatever it was. And I remember seeing the picture where they had the caption, but nobody called me because, again, we didn't have any smartphones. And I was just waking up, and I remember reading the computer, going to check some fantasy scores on there. And I'm saying, like, this is this like satire? I mean, it was just an amazing thing to have to live through. I remember going to work, which actually sent us home a little bit later in the afternoon after me getting there like 30 or 40 minutes. And I remember listening to the radio and listening to sports talk radio, which was no longer sports talk radio. It was literally live feeds in from like ABC, NBC, and just the whole world stopped. The whole world stopped that day, September 11th.
Yeah, I remember quickly. I remember I was, it was, like I said, I was in 7th grade at the time, and I was at lunch. We had an early lunch, like 11:30 or 10 or 11 or something like that. And a friend of mine came up to me and said, "Did you hear what happened?" I said, "No, what happened?" He goes, "Russians attacked us." I said, "That's terrible." I said, at school at the time, they wouldn't let us watch TV. Yeah, they wouldn't let us watch anything. Like, we didn't know what happened. Then we found out we were going home, and I went home. I remember my mother was crying at the time, and it was scariest day I've ever had. I mean,
if you were in Philadelphia was being evacuated as well because you didn't know where the next strike was coming from to another Northeast major city. I remember everybody just getting out of town as well.
Yeah, it was definitely scary. But we remember those people, all those cops and firemen, and just people going to work on a day. All the people on the plane. We remember them today. But let's get into the weekend and what happened, Donnie. A lot to go over. Obviously, this is the right side of campus. Today, we kind of break everything down. We relive what happened over the weekend. And, Donnie, we'll start with college because obviously that was a little bit before the NFL and plenty of NFL stuff. But, by the way, do want to shout out. Had a great time last night on the Betcast. Had some fun on there. Me and Gabe Morency. I know you had a great day doing all your shows as well. Really, really kind of a nice grab of Sunday here at SBRforum.com. You guys all day. Me and you had the show. By the way, gave out Dallas -4, so nice.
Oh, yeah, we ate on that good last night before the game. Wasn't that good? Nice people even get on us, say, "Hey, Jeff, you're going to take the -6. How about the 5.5?" And we told them, "Look, man, we got this game by a touchdown. Put it right in the bag." One of those games, Jeff, week 1, where you nail it. You don't even have to sweat it. It was really nice to watch.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, I thought your standout star, Cole Beasley, had a nice game. Hell of a
crazy catch up. Yeah, there we go.
Nolan Carroll, I don't think was even thrown at, Donnie. I thought I might have.
Was anybody thrown out on the Cowboys? I mean, hey, look, you guys been filling into our show. I mean, Eli Manning. I mean, you hear me bash him. Take away arguably one of the most dominant wide receiver in the NFL. He is straight trash. I've been calling it. Giants defense is good. Their offensive line can't block anybody. Me and Jeff, 4 straight months. The O-line stinks. They have the single worst, maybe, Jeff, the single worst left tackle, right tackle combination in the last 20 years in the NFL. And the Dallas Cowboys, who supposedly have 0 pass rush, absolutely was like blitzkrieg on that. I can't wait till the Eagles get off week 3 against Eli. He might die in that football game, and I'm really looking forward to it.
No, the defensive line was epic, man, for the Eagles yesterday. But we'll get into that. But, yeah, I know overall it wasn't the easiest game to live commentate, Donnie. We're sitting there trying to have fun with it and trying to keep people abreast. And luckily, we got through it. But it was a fun time. A lot of good people in the chat. We had some fun, and hopefully next week we have a better game. We got the Packers and Falcons, so hopefully on paper it's a better game.
On paper, right.
Yeah, so let's get into college. I went for me, I went 3-1 in my premium plays this week, Donnie. So I know I had a kind of an odd week on the free picks. Gave a lot of like outright winners. Army and Navy didn't come through. Those were tough. Military schools got me again, Donnie. First 2 weeks of the season, I bet against Army once and lost. I bet on Army once and lost, and I've had Navy twice, 1 win, 1 loss. So overall, though, pretty fun. And again, guys, we want to make this clear. I know I come on here, Donnie comes on here. I mean, I probably went over like 70, 80% of the games. Okay, so again, we're going over every game. Not everyone I'm personally betting on, but overall, premium plays went well for me. Had a pretty good year. We got Middle Tennessee, some good things. We'll go over it. But Donnie, let's get into some big things that happened over the weekend. And it was a good week for some, and it was a bad week for some. We'll start out with some teams that had a bad week. Ohio State. Not only did you get beaten up on the field, but Baker Mayfield looked and made your school look really bad after the game. After putting a flag in the middle of the field. But you look at overall, I mean, all talk this year was you're bringing in Kevin Wilson, this dynamic offensive mind, and for the most part, they've had a lot of trouble moving the football. Had a lot of trouble on Saturday against Oklahoma. JT Barrett just can't throw the ball down the field, Donnie. He's not been very good as a true quarterback. We know he can move around in the pocket, but overall, he hasn't been very good throwing the football.
No, I mean, and something's got to give here. In college football, I mean, there's always fads that come in. I mean, hell, in the 80s, Barry Switzer's running the wing T with Oklahoma. Now look at the way Oklahoma runs their offense. So times change, things change. It's about time, you get rid of the slap offense and you don't throw it downfield and you pray to God that Tim Tebow and Percy Harvin land back in your lap again. You can say, Jeff, you could trade in like the offensive coordinator, make a change, do this, but there's one constant in there, Jeff, and that's Urban Meyer and his offense, which, again, he can recruit. He's going to have better athletes. They're going to be fine in the Big Ten. But now when they're stepping out in competition, you saw it last year with Clemson. Clemson embarrassed them in the playoff game. Now you come back and play another power-type team with Oklahoma. They got embarrassed at home. And JT Barrett, I mean, he can't really throw the football. And in college football, same way in the NFL, if you can't vertically pass, you're going to get beat. Straight up, you're going to get beat. And they got hammered on Saturday night. Yeah,
and here's another issue that I outlined before the game. It was obviously a rematch, and we have to remember last year the sheer brilliance he had in that secondary. And I'm not saying you don't have it this year, but you have young kids back there. You have young kids back there that aren't as seasoned as Gary Conley or Lattimore or others. That was a big thing. They had to grow up quick in that game, and Baker Mayfield was really great. I mean, I know Lamar Jackson had a fantastic day, but those two are going to battle it out all year. And, Donnie, how great is it going to be in several weeks down the road when Oklahoma State and Oklahoma meet up? It's going to be a war, shootout style. It's going to be fun. But Ohio State, not a good week. They're still ranked in the top 10, though.
Yeah, I mean, again, the good thing about the NCAA football, the way it's bracketed now, we have the 4 teams get in. Just because you lose a game early on, if it's against a really good opponent, you're still going to be able to sneak in. If Ohio State wins the Big Ten, they're going to be in the playoff, because that means They're going to probably run the table and get in. So at least you have that where if you schedule out a conference, you lose that game, 1 loss back in the day, you're out completely unless some really freak stuff's going on with the BCS. But I do like the fact that you can challenge yourself as like a measuring stick type game early. If you lose it, you could still rally around and say, look, guys, man, hey, we win this Big Ten. We're getting back in. So, I mean, they're still there.
Yeah, no, they got plenty of time. They need to fix some things, though. Shout out to all the great listeners, Mr. Gogster, Digital Kumquat, Travis, Rich Banks, Mr. Gogster, Kyle, Marco, Young G's, Kevin White, all the people in here. Welcome in. Please hit the like button. Let us know you're in here. Say hello. Subscribe if you haven't. Let your friends know. Anyone that you know likes college football, feel free to let them know, or sports in general. A lot of great things here at SBR Forum. And it's not just the major sports, Donnie. Remember, tennis, soccer, all sorts of great stuff. NHL's coming up. So make SBR your go-to spot for not only sports betting talk, live shows, blogs, all sorts of good stuff at SBRpicks.com. Donnie, let's move on here. Another team that had some trouble as well, the Auburn Tigers, one of the more pathetic performances of the weekend. 117 total yards for the big-time vaunted Auburn offense. And I got to give it to Clemson. Really impressive. This team has looked shut down on the defensive side really in both weeks here. They have a test coming up with Louisville, but let's talk about this week. Really impressive stuff. It's hard to go into Death Valley and get the job done, Donnie. It's hard to go into Death Valley, even compete really. And Auburn didn't compete. Really pathetic. 117 yards, just not good enough.
No, Dabo's built this team, Jeff. We talked about it last week heading into this game. I mean, if you liked Auburn, I get it. If you like Clemson, I get it. But Dabo Swinney has built this team off the backs of an SEC-like team, obviously coming out of Auburn himself. But now he has that cultured environment, Jeff, where they expect to win that big game under the lights. That culture is going to breed out there. And the one thing you can wait around for is if you have a young quarterback, athletic, you want to get him to learn the ropes, you dip his toes in with a big game against Auburn, and you stack him up with a fantastic defense that says, look, hey, while you're learning and getting a feel out there on the field, we got you on defense. So go ahead, make your reads. Don't feel afraid. Don't turn it over. Throw the check down. Just keep us in this ball game. We're going to hammer it out. They have a perfect storm. And again, with Florida State losing their starting quarterback, watch out. I mean, Clemson might breeze right through the ACC and be sitting there as the top overall seed coming into the playoffs. And by then, quarterback should be ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, no, they've really looked good. Kelly Bryant looked really good this weekend. Looked good. Really just kind of filled in right away for Deshaun Watson. Good wins for Clemson. Obviously, we talked about that. USC with a nice win. Beat Stanford. Really hit me in the mouth on that one. That was one of the bigger games I got wrong. I thought Stanford would be better in this game. Weren't as dynamic as I thought they'd be. But I think the one concern was USC obviously definitely was looking forward to this game. And that was kind of the problem in week one against Western Michigan. Looking forward a little bit. You had Stanford right where they wanted them, really kind of picked them apart. Oklahoma, we mentioned them as well, a great win for them. And finally, Donnie, I thought out of the big teams this week, really impressive stuff by the Georgia Bulldogs heading into South Bend. A ton of fans there. And it doesn't matter who the quarterback is at Georgia. It's the fact that they have not one but two very good running backs. And defensively, Georgia, as the season goes on, I think is going to look to be one of the top 5, top 10 defenses overall in the country. Do a really good job. And it wasn't anything Notre Dame didn't do. Both teams struggled to, it's just kind of a slobber knocker kind of game, Donnie. But I watched it. Georgia looked great. A really impressive win by the Bulldogs outright as 5-6 point underdogs.
Yeah, I didn't think they would be able to get the job done going up to the Notre Dame, but very well played. The freshmen didn't make any mistakes. They kept themselves in the ball game to the very end. That's how you win in a road environment. Kudos to all the Georgia fans getting up there too, packing it. I remember the videos up there. I remember being in college. I think it was like 01 or 02 when Nebraska went into play. Nebraska might have been number 1 at the time going into play. Julius Jones, I believe, in Notre Dame. They ended up, packing the house. It was all red. It gave me that same type of vibe. But great win by Georgia going out of conference and winning. Because, again, is Notre Dame the end-all, be-all team? Are they fantastic? No, but it's a tough environment to play. It's their broadcast team. I know what the SEC probably bought their own officials, but how many times do you see Notre Dame get every single call at home, regardless of who the officiating crew is? Nice win for the Georgia Bulldogs there for sure.
Yeah, it really was. And, overall, this season, nice start. I mean, you beat a really good App State team handily. And then you go on the road and beat Notre Dame. Impressive stuff. Doing good things, Kirby Smart. Nice to see guys like him and, Lincoln Riley, these young coaches, really kind of taking the bull by the horns and doing well.
Yeah, Joe, we were joking about Lincoln Riley there. A big game, Bob Stoops was in the house, and we're joking around saying if Bob Stoops was coaching the game, he probably loses that one. But, yeah, Lincoln Riley was on top of that, man. Those boys are ready to pop.
And it is. I mean, I'm not going to say I hate Notre Dame. I won't say that. I grew up Catholic, so clearly I have always a fortune for the Irish. But it's not anything bad when they lose, Donnie.
No, I love it. There's two teams I love to see lose: Penn State and Notre Dame. Just the way it is.
Penn State. I mean, how about their coach in the news this week? By the way, listen, I got to tell you, they played well. Yep. I love Saquon Barkley, and I know you know where I'm going here, but James Franklin's a dork. He's an arrogant fucking.
Why? Yeah, and why does he have to be? Like, why do you have to be like that? You go to Vanderbilt, you get out of town when the rape charges hit. You go to Penn State, you're running your mouth, and like Pitt. I mean, first of all, who is Pitt anyway? Of course, Pitt's going to celebrate a huge victory at home last year when you beat an in-state rival. Right, then they go to Happy Valley. They're the much better football team. They win easy, and most coaches would sit up there and be like, hey, Pitt played well. I thought we were the better team today, and we'll move on. No, you could tell it sticks in his crawl, like these little games, and it's so pansy because I can't wait until they meet up with a legitimate contender that beats them, and then I want to see what he's about. But James Franklin always rubs you the wrong way, always.
No, he's a punk. He's a big punk. I can't stand James Franklin. But, again, they're playing well. Saquon Barkley looks great.
Gesicki, I mean, they're great. Their offense is moving, man. They're a good offense. There's no question about that.
Yeah, shout out to the offensive coordinator doing big things at Penn State. James Franklin. All right. Take a step back a little bit there, cuz. Donnie, shout out to some other teams, some more lower level teams, but again, playing well. Shout out to the Duke Blue Devils, Donnie. Yeah. They crush Northwestern. And it's early, but Northwestern looked terrible. I picked this team to make a move in the Big Ten. I think they can, kind of maybe hang with Wisconsin in the final if they get there, and maybe get to the tournament final and maybe see what they can do. But didn't look good. Shout out to Daniel Jones, quarterback for Duke. Really has looked great from last season into this season. And Donnie, we talked about it. A guy that didn't get a lot of respect. I think I talked about it with you before. David Cutcliffe. He's done some great things at Duke. They coming into the season, I think a lot was expected from this team, but a nice start to the year, crushing Northwestern as a small favorite. And I believe they're a dog this week to, if I can remember correctly, play Baylor next. So we're going to get to what a mess this team is. And I'm concerned more about the quotes after the game, Donnie, from some of their coaching staff and their players. You look at a new Solomon. I mean, keep in mind, this is a team that lost in the first game to Liberty. They got crushed in the passing game. And this week they lose to UTSA, who we can agree, Donnie, it is a better football team. But at home, they can't lose to UTSA. You can't score 10 points. And then after the game, they asked the new Solomon about it. His comments, it is what it is. It's on me. At the end of the day, it's just on me. I mean, it is what it is. That's your comment after the game. I mean,
that's a complete regime change, a complete culture change, a complete offensive philosophy change, a complete defensive philosophy exchange. They might as well be on the death penalty right now because everybody looking at that school, they're just getting negatively recruited against down there in Texas and that whole, Westland region. It's going to be a tough. And again, Matt Rule knew what he was getting. He got the big paycheck. He's going to be there 6-7 years. But we talk about it as well. I mean, college football, it doesn't matter how low you are. Remember when Butch Davis took over the Miami Hurricanes in the probation era? They were getting rocked. I mean, Miami was used to going, 12-0 every single year, and all of a sudden the bottom fell out. But you had the right guy commanding. All right, I'm going to have half my scholarships. Everybody's going to recruit against me. Let's build this thing the right way. Let's be real prudent on the guys we bring in. Let's coach them up, and eventually we'll get back. And they did get back and won the national title in 2001 and 2002 over Ohio State. Doesn't matter what the ref said. That was a winner.
This is a preparation problem. This is Matt Rule not being able to take these kids from 1 week and say, okay, let's refocus and let's look to our next opponent. His comment, I got the sense last week that this was a team that the minute something bad happens, they're kind of like, oh, here we go again. Something bad's going to happen. I mean, that's coaching. You have to groom these kids up. I mean, not only do you lose week 1, but you follow it up at home with a week 2 loss to another inferior opponent. And I got to tell you, Donnie, doesn't get much easier. You got to go to Duke this weekend, who has played really well, like we just said. Then you get Oklahoma, Kansas State, Oak State, West Virginia, Texas. They might not win a game until November 4th, Donnie. It's
bad. Yeah, it's going to be bad. That's going to be bad for a while down there. I mean, the resurgence of Baylor, obviously coming up through Briles, was built on a faulty structure, because obviously what they were doing there just to slide by, take the recruits in or the transfers in with the problems. And, hey, everybody's getting raped down here. Cover it up. Like, we need to build this football program. We need wins, because Baylor wasn't heard from before Art Briles. I mean, that was a downtrodden bum program in the state of Texas. They cheat to get ahead, similar to what you see with Ole Miss struggling for a couple years. Let's bring in Hugh Freeze. All of a sudden, we're getting #1 recruiting classes, and Hugh Freeze is telling everybody we're just outworking other recruiters. You saw exactly what happened there. They're going to go back to the bottom. But again, come in and sustain something for 5 to 6 years and get that platform back. He's a good football coach, but if they don't give him time, they're just going to, might as well be SMU down there again. Just blow it up.
But again, we have to look at this program as a whole, this athletic program. You had the rape stuff. You've had the Art Briles stuff. You've also had Carlton Dodson and Patrick Dennehy years ago with Dave Bliss, a murder that was committed between your basketball program teammates. I mean, just the problems that this athletic program's had. I mean, I think you're right, Donnie. I mean, it's starting to get to a bad point with this group. And I think Matt Rule's wishing he would have just stayed in North Philadelphia after this start.
I don't know. He could check his bank account every day and just say, I don't have to work again the rest of my life. But yeah, I mean, it would have been a cushy job. He would have been in Temple for what, 20 years. He could have been one of those, I don't want to say Joe Paterno, but one of those type of coaches that said, damn, I came here when I was like 38 and I'm 68 and I built this program. He could have done that and had all that, goodwill brought up, and he would have had a good recruiting base. He was making a dent. Temple was a ranked football team, which I grew up in the 80s and early 90s. Temple was 1-12, 1-11, 1-10 every single year. and they finally started doing something good. But I can't fault the guy. I mean, literally quadrupled his paycheck, so I can't fault him.
I guess. I mean, but sometimes you have to look at something and say to yourself, is this – listen, I don't mind obviously going up in the world, but clearly you got to sometimes look at things and say, this situation might be out of my control. It might be something where I just have to say, you know what?
Yeah, like Jay Wright at Villanova. Jay Wright had multiple chances to leave NBA jobs, higher level jobs. Says, you know what? Family loves it here. I get paid well, and I'm happy every day. So you're right. There is something to be said about that.
Yeah, and I've actually said this before, and I'm going to go ahead and say it again. I mean, listen, I love the banter, but again, I don't want to – if we continue to see these fights on the chat, this chat's about people sharing information from a sports betting perspective. This isn't a pissing contest between multiple people. I get you guys have a problem with each other, but it's the same person. We all know who it is. But again, let's go do that somewhere else. I want this chat to be for people that actually want to talk about sports betting and not pissing contests back and forth. But again, I can only say so much. I don't have blocking privileges anymore, I guess. But Donnie, let's kind of finish up the college stuff. Just some good things here. Howard wins again, Donnie. Big win for the Bison. Beat your boys from Kent State. Another big underdog, Donnie. 24.5-point underdogs. They win the game outright. Bison looking good. If I'm in the MEAC,
Kent State won the game.
Did they? No, they didn't.
Of course, Kent State won. Sure, they did.
Could have sworn I heard they won. What?
No, they could. No, they were. It was a tight game in the fourth quarter, but Kent State blew. I think Kent State by 7.
Okay, either way, they covered. My bad. Either way, the game was close. Let's put it down. Okay, 38-31. I could have sworn it was 31-28. My fault.
No,
either
Come
way,
on, man, Kent State, baby.
Yeah. Okay. Well, either way, a cover from.
They look good doing it too.
If you're in the MEAC, Donnie, you got to be a little concerned when you play Howard this year on the schedule.
Nah, Howard. By the way, MEAC teams usually don't compete at a Division I level like that. That team's going to be hell to pay in the MEAC. I mean, they really are. That's a real football team. That's just not, let's go out and hopefully we make a play out there, which sometimes you see in that league. That's a legitimate football team.
I got to look at their schedule, Donnie. Washington's not too far away. Maybe I might just go down to Baltimore, see them play Morgan State or Coppin or somebody. It might be
Do they play Coppin? Has Coppin got a good football team?
No, not really.
Coppin even have a football team.
I believe they do. Let me check their schedule. Let's look at Howard's schedule going forward here. You got Morgan State. Yeah. You got actually they host more. Okay, so they don't really have any Baltimore home games. Morgan State on the road. So we might have to not see them. But again, it wouldn't be a bad idea. By the way, Jimmy the Bag. When do I fight with Jimmy the Bag? Jimmy does his thing. We do ours. I don't fight with Jimmy. We've had him on the show before. I wouldn't fight with him.
Yeah, Jeff,
Did we ever fight with Jimmy the Bag?
Damn, I don't know.
I never fight with Jimmy the Bag. I don't know what he's talking about. Jimmy's been on the show. He's got his show here at SBR. Oh, by the way, I did shout out the Beat the Bag contest last night, Donnie.
Yes.
Beat the Bag contest going on at SBR. First week is in the books for the most part, obviously after tonight. I want to shout out how many people are in this thing. Really impressive. 1,246 people, Donnie.
Nice.
A lot of people. Really impressive. Great contest over at SBR Forum. $25,000 contest. First prize, Donnie. $7,500. 21 people get paid. A nice little.
What is he pick games? You got to go against them.
I think you got to beat him, and you get like points every week. But overall, I think at the end of the year, it's the best percentages. It's kind of like the Super Contest in a way. And again, I mean, we've talked to Jimmy. Jimmy bets how he wants. We bet how we want. I mean, I think what he's doing is admirable. He's going to fight the good fight like we are. So, we have nothing but love for him, and he's going to do his thing. I don't ever remember taking shots at him. I do think parlays. I wouldn't bet parlays significantly, but I'm not going to tell another man how to bet, Donnie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's.
Each his own.
Do your thing. Kansas, Donnie, closed as a favorite. I want to point that out to everyone that was interested.
Yep.
By the way, they didn't win. They got blown out. Shout out to Central Michigan. Nice bounce back for Bonamigo's crew this weekend. Shane Marsh is pretty good. And Donnie, there's a big thing going on, and I want to let everyone know this is something you want to write down.
Mm-hmm.
The Conference USA is a really bad conference this year, and I think going to be a really bad conference. Middle Tennessee looks like the favorites right now. Big 8-point underdog win. They win outright as 260 underdogs. But you look at the other teams. La Tech just gets embarrassed by Mississippi State. Never close in that one. And 7 points for the Hilltoppers against Illinois, Donnie. What the hell is going on in Conference USA?
Yeah, so the one thing I was a little bit discouraging today was coming out Middle Tennessee State. Stockstill's questionable or doubtful for the game coming up, so I didn't see him actually getting hurt versus Syracuse, but something must have happened in that game, so I'm going to keep an eye on that injury situation. They didn't look all that great, but again, we talked about it. 10 points going into the Carrier Dome, overreaction game. They ended up winning outright. It didn't surprise me or you that they won outright against Syracuse.
No, I wasn't surprised at all. I mentioned I thought they would win. I didn't understand that number. Didn't make any sense to me. Syracuse can't stop anyone. Shout out to Austin Geis, having a child here in a couple of weeks. Welcome to your daughter. That's going to be great. Good for you. I'm not a father, but I know Donnie is, and I'm sure it's one of the greatest achievements he's had. One other thing, Donnie. Shout out to the Georgia Southern football program. Time to move on from Tyson Summers, okay? You lose outright to New Hampshire at home. You scored 12 points. I'm not sure why he comes back this year, but it's time to move on. It's a shame because, Donnie, this football program was at some great heights a couple years ago, covering every number in the book, it seemed like. The rushing attack was so vaunted, and how things have fallen in Statesboro. A really tough loss at home for fans down there.
Jeff, how about the Wild one down with New Mexico State and New Mexico, man? Yeah. How about that one?
Yeah. Great job by the Aggies. And, Donnie, they look pretty good to start the year, don't they?
They do, man. I can't lie. They do.
I'll tell you that's what happens when you got Larry Rose in your football team. I hope you guys are doing well. I've been watching.
Rogers looks good. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Andrew B., hope you guys are doing well. I've been watching because I've been laying off of baseball. We're not talking baseball. We've been talking plenty of football here, Andrew, so welcome back.
Especially on Mondays. I'm going to be too much time for MLB action.
No, I haven't even looked at MLB. I do know the Dodgers keep losing, though.
Yes. The Dodgers missed the playoffs. That's the next question.
Yeah, but you know what? Again, we've talked about it. I mean, I know you're ready for the playoffs to start, but at least win a couple games.
Jeez, yeah, don't even.
They've been getting beat
bad nightly, it seems like, too.
Yeah. And shout out to the Indians who keep winning.
Yes.
That future I have on them looks better and better. And I do want to just talk about one thing. I've been critical of them all year, but I have had to have been. It's a daily show where we have to have crazy different emotions and talk about teams at their lows and highs, and they were low for a while. They had major trouble with runners in scoring position, but shout out to the Indians who have gotten it turned around. Where are we at here? Donnie, let's get into the little NFL Week 3 college football coming up this week. I've already moved on a couple games. I'm excited about the Week 3 card. Donnie, does this mean Week 3? Does this mean you'll be involved? From what I understand, you're a guy that usually gets involved around Week 3. Let's get off the high horse and let's get to
around. I usually start around Week 3 or Week 4. Is this conference play starting yet this week or no? Not yet.
No. There's still some. But again, Donnie, we have to remember. I mean, there are plenty of conference games going on, and there's not always just FCS, FBS games. But I hear you. We got one more week here of a lot of patsies coming up, so that's going to be fun. Donnie, let's get into the NFL. We talked about it last night, kind of ad nauseum, but what caught your eye? Let's talk about it.
Yesterday was a lot of fun just for NFL action being back in. Over-unders. I mean, if you're betting an under, most of the time yesterday, you did very well, which I know most people like to bet overs. Also, if you're betting just fading the public, you probably did yourself and made a little bit of coin. Also, just looking over overall games, about what I expected. The one thing, again, you heard me talk all season, I was leaning towards the Washington Redskins in that football game. Now, you look at the final score at the Eagles game, Jeff, 30-17. You say, oh, man, they won that game handily and easily. That game changed on a blitz in the red zone from Jim Schwartz that almost got home the Cousins, which forced him to throw an interception. That would have been a really interesting game there, Jeff, if there was no blitz and they convert that, either get a field goal to take the lead or a touchdown to really get ahead in that football game. And we know it, Jeff. In the NFL, it's literally one play makes or breaks that game. That was an interesting one. Very impressive win. Again, I was wrong on the Tennessee game. I did give that play out yesterday on the show. That was my only loss of the day. I thought Oakland was really good, really composed. Marshawn Lynch looked good in that football game. Was a little bit underwhelmed with Tennessee, but it's tough to go on the road, and they did everything they had to do, Jeff. What do you want to see from a football team, at least a good football team, on the road? You have the lead late, put the game away with a game-winning drive to go up double digits. They did that. The young kicker in that game, Jeff, 4 field goals on the road, first game with Janikowski out for the season, it looks like. He did very well. So I was very impressed with the Oakland Raiders going on the road in that one, Jeff.
Yeah, no, a really nice win there. I mean, a lot of people, including some of us here, mentioned that it looked like a tight line, and it might have been. But, when you can get Oakland as an underdog, it's hard to pass that up, especially with coming into the season how, nice that, we thought this team would look. Yeah. Defense is pretty good. Again, Titans had trouble putting touchdowns on the football or on the board. They had trouble moving the ball into the end zone. Couldn't put up touchdowns. When you settle for field goals against Oakland, you're going to be in a bad spot.
And then, Jeff, if you're a surprise team coming into the season, like you're just trying to get ahead, you do stuff like onside kick to open the season. I remember back, I believe it was the year 2000, the Eagles went on the road, Donovan McNabb's second year. They onside kicks to start the season and got it and just absolutely ran away from Dallas the rest of the game. Duke Staley ran for like 200 yards, and the Eagles announced, like, we are here. We're going to play some football. Tennessee was expected to have a good season. The point of onside kicking your opening game at home, that's just ludicrous by a coach, man.
No, that's Mike Mularkey. That's a stupid idea. What was the
point of it? It didn't even make any sense. Like you're not in a tough environment. Like we need to steal possession. It was the start of your season, and you're at
home. You're at home.
And you're at home. Yeah, come on.
And you're facing a team that you don't want to give a short field to.
No, there was no. But like, all right. So if you recovered it, you got the ball in your own 45. It's not like you recover it at the 10-yard line. You're going for a touchdown. Come on, man.
No, it was an odd decision. But that's Mike Mularkey for you. That's just what he does. But again, I don't take a lot away from, the Titans lost. But again, we also saw what happened in that division. Houston looked terrible. They don't have a quarterback.
Let's get there, Jeff. You went on Houston. Let's get on that game. Just stay on that Houston game. Let's get out the pinata here, man.
It's pathetic. Listen, Bill O'Brien was to me the problem yesterday.
I hate him. I hate Bill O'Brien. Again, what is it with these Penn State coaches, man? You found out with Joe Paterno and Sandusky, then they go over to Bill O'Brien, who's holier than thou. Don't you talk in my face. I'm a stern leader. I'm going to bounce on Penn State after 1 year. And then you go to James Franklin, just a completely – I don't know. Maybe it's just you go to Penn State, you just turn into that cult type figure. But yeah, go ahead with the Houston comment.
And there's always talk about how great of a quarterback guy he is, and how impressive he's going to be, and you just give
because he had Brady. How tough is it to be like? Is Josh McDaniels a guru? He went to Dallas and Denver and flamed out, but he's an unbelievable coordinator. Why? He's the best football player of all time. Boy, did you see Bill Bradley yell at Brady? Damn, he's a good football coach. Come on, man.
Yeah, like he had anything to do with how good Tom Brady was, and come on. Yeah. Overall, though, the emotional stuff didn't work. Defensively, they were terrible. They just couldn't move the football. And I say it before, and I'll say it again. I don't know how Tom Savage is in the NFL. I don't think anyone thought it was this bad. But he was really.
That was the problem I had with backing Houston. I played against the whole emotional angle, but it all came down to, imagine if you have a really good, competent quarterback for Houston. You'd be all over that football game.
But Donnie, here's the thing, okay? Any coach would say, you know what? I've been a coach in the league a long time. I know quarterbacks so well.
Yeah.
This guy doesn't look good, okay? I got to wake up and smell the coffee. I'm not going to leave him in a whole half.
Yeah, like you see him in practice every day. Like if the common fan, Jeff, we're sitting at home and we're going, dude, Savage didn't even take a snap yet on Sunday. And we're like, Savage stinks, man. And he goes out and stinks. Nobody's surprised except the 75 scouts, the GM, the assistant GM, the assistant to the assistant GM, the head coach and his 90 fleet of coaching staff somehow didn't know Tom Savage was bad.
Yeah, no, it was amazing. Shout out to Calais Campbell, 4.5 sacks yesterday.
Unbelievable, man.
He was an animal yesterday. And I got to tell you, man, that defense looked pretty good. I know Savage sucks, but they got some names there.
Game, I was finishing up the show with Gabe right up till kickoff. We went to about like 103, 104. So I didn't get a chance to look at like pregame stuff. I had the Red Zone channel on. I had the Eagles game on Fox, but I really wasn't paying attention till kickoff. Did they break into coverage just to watch J.J. Watt come out of the tunnel? Did that happen at all yesterday across the networks?
I believe so. And actually, on every time they brought it up, they were at Rightside. And then, dude, this is who he is. This is exactly who he is. Okay, I want to talk about this because
go ahead. Yes,
I actually threw up when I heard this. Okay, after the game, the interview, and he dislocates his finger. He tries to act like a fucking warrior. Dude, I'm fine. I'm good. I'm a warrior. It's just a little finger cut. Shut up, dude. We get it. You're a fucking warrior. Stop trying to be. He's always trying to be like that, some kind of ninja warrior, animal. He's numb to any pain. He's going to be strong for his team.
Yep, he only takes naps in the afternoon because he wakes up so early in the morning to work out. But my favorite part, again, just getting back to all kudos, he raised all that money, every single press conference, every single video he did, every time he was in that warehouse, so to speak, everybody had on Texans gear, but J.J. Watt only had on his logo. I'm surprised that he didn't come out with like a custom logo helmet that had his J.J. Watt logo on each side. But my favorite part is, before, it's going to be amazing. I mean, when J.J. Watt comes out of that tunnel, he's just going to rise up. And they got blasted. And
it's funny. That's why it's so pathetic to give these. And again, I get you need defensive players, and I get you need good tackles and ends and all kind of things. But here's the problem: they can't play quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you can give them all the money you want, but you can't play quarterback. You can't do everything.
Talk about the quick turnaround. I mean, there's no, hey, you better lick your wounds and get on the road, because Cincinnati we'll talk about that in a second, is equally awful as Houston was in that football game. But there's no tougher thing to do, Jeff. You get embarrassed at home as the Texans. You bench your starting quarterback. Watson comes in the game, looks athletic, provides a spark, gets him in the end zone. Now he's banged up on a short week going on the road. Houston goes to 0-2. We've all seen the percentages, Jeff, getting into the playoffs after starting 0-2, especially 0-2 in the AFC in your home conference. Good luck, man. Good luck making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, quite the shit show that's going to be on Thursday. Thursday night always has the weird way of having some of the worst games in history.
They should do away with it. I mean, it's an unfair advantage for the road team coming in, because you're literally like, Houston just played Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Banged up, quarterback's banged up with an ankle, J.J. Watt, whatever. I mean, he'll probably tweet out that he blew his knee out and did his own surgery at night, and he's going to be good for the game. But like, you go Monday, you're recovering. You can barely get out of bed on Monday, right? Tuesday is a mandatory off day in the NFL. So you might come in and you might look at some film. Wednesday, you go through a walkthrough at 10 a.m. and then you get on a plane, at 3 p.m.? You don't even practice and you're playing football. The NFL with their whole, we're going to take care of the players. And, the Eagles can't wear throwback uniforms of Kelly Green because you can only have one helmet during the season, which is the most idiotic, stupid-ass, rule you can have. The NFL, you can't have more than one helmet because you're afraid of concussions. I've never heard of that in my life. I don't even understand the concept or the technique. Or you're telling me they can't have multiple helmets because, one might not fit? What world do we live in? Are they allowed to only wear one pair of shoes, one pair of socks, one pair of pants, one pair of shoulder pads? I don't even get that.
Yeah, I will say this as far as that point, just to kind of build on it, and I'm going to talk about this game. I like Cincinnati a lot in this game.
Yes,
coming up here.
Team.
3.
I was tweeting out a little bit earlier on, Jeff. If you're looking at a Thursday night football game in the NFL, regardless of favorite or dog, money line the home team every Thursday night. No way in hell you lose money by the end of the season. Absolutely impossible.
No, I like them. I like them this week. I did not see much out of Houston. I did not see much out of their defense. I know Dalton was poor, and that's something that he's got to be much better. I mean, they have a problem with that offensive line, and he needs to be much better. But again, I'm looking forward to Cincinnati this week. I think we see a bounce back from them.
Jeff, how about that Seattle Green Bay game? Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. What did we talk about all season? Which, again, it's a tough spot to beat. The reason why I like Green Bay, it's hard to beat Green Bay at home. Green Bay basically has to win the football game they're going to cover. Russell Wilson can only make so much magic out there. His line is pathetic, and he's going to be running. I mean, if you want a quarterback who can run around and make plays, it better be Russell Wilson. But they're in a little bit of trouble offensively. I mean, Green Bay, not the greatest defensive team. Seattle really struggled in that ball game.
Yeah, they did. I mean, their offense was really bad. And again, this is where you kind of have to make your own judgment kind of as you go forward. Week 1, there's a lot of things that you have to think. Is Green Bay's defense this good, or is Seattle's offense this bad, or is Andy Dalton this bad, or again, a lot of things will come to fruition and kind of even themselves out. I mean, Week 1 would tell us that St. Louis Rams are the best offense in the league.
Yeah, or best the LA Rams overall. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, but again, we have to remember things are going to even out and get normal. I think one thing we do know, though, it doesn't matter how good or bad or whatever. Indianapolis is bad, no matter who their quarterback or who their defensive coordinators. I want to get this on my chest. I've been waiting to say this. Fire Chuck Pagano. Okay, how long are we going to wait on this? I mean, look, he got cancer 4 years ago. Leaning on that crutch, you don't want to make him feel bad. Fire the fucking guy. He's not a good coach. He's not a leader. He doesn't
they are talent depleted too, man. I mean, I don't know how much
I know, but you got
to say in that, but it's a bad situation now.
Donnie. He's not been good. Their upper management's not been good. I know they don't have great personnel, but Pagano just looks like he doesn't even know who he's playing half the time. Christ.
I mean, even the year that they did really well, obviously Pagano was out for cancer, and Arians was amazing that year, and they let Arians go. There you go. Yeah.
Okay, sometimes it's a business, and you have to do things you got to do. Okay, it's been 3, 4, 5 years now. Move on. Okay, move on. He's just not a good coach. Jerry Kill got fired. He has all sorts of problems in college. It's a business. You got to do.
By the way, talk about Jerry Kill again, Jeff. Did you see he had another seizure?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, it came out this morning. And just, I mean, come on, but Jerry, go home to the kids. Go home to the family. Go back and live in Minnesota on a nice lake. Relax. Watch football on Saturday and Sunday. Man, sometimes just enough.
No, by the way, just one thing about college. By the way, Rutgers was laying points as well. How'd that work out? Sometimes you just can't bet on bad teams, Donnie. I mean,
the MAC every year is going to surprise a couple of these Power 5 teams. You got 2 of them over the weekend. But again, Eastern Michigan, Jeff, they're a good football team. But they have no business going into Rutgers and beating Rutgers. Like, no business. What was the stat? They were 0 for 38 playing Big Ten teams, I believe, Eastern Michigan. I mean, Eastern Michigan's a perennial doormat. Yes, they got better last year, but the talent on Rutgers should have been able to hold the day, and they got embarrassed again, which leads me to believe that whole thing. Like, Rutgers, you don't want to be a basketball, football school. It's apparent. Like, every time I read back to the Schiano days, Jeff, where the administration was fighting against paying Greg Schiano because they didn't think he should make more than professors because they're a quote-unquote educational institution. They made that decision to go down that rabbit hole, backed away. Now they're a disaster, and they did it to themselves. So, I mean, why the Big Ten even allowed it? Because, well, they're in New Jersey. We can get that New York market. New York market doesn't matter if your team blows, No,
I totally hear you. And they're more in central Jersey anyway. But
no, I know, but that's why they brought him on for the media market being central, a little bit out of Philadelphia, a little bit out of New York City. Great, we got the East Coast there. Not realizing that Rutgers sucks in every sport. You know what I mean? Come on.
Yeah, I think there's a good point made here on the chat by I can't remember. I can't see who it is. Somebody made a comment about the Colts draft picks and what they've done. I mean, it's not a bad point. I mean, we don't know what Malik Hooker's going to be. We would imagine he'll be better. But, you look at their picks the last couple of years. I mean, you draft a center with your first pick in 16.
Hands on 1 year and
Philip Dorsett. I mean, I don't know what that was. Jack Meehl. I mean, how many offensive linemen are you going to draft?
Not even good ones.
Yeah. Bjorn Werner. I mean, that didn't work. Andrew Luck's been injured his whole career. Dwayne Allen doesn't even play on the team anymore. T.Y. Hilton, I mean, okay, that might have been a hit for the most part. Anthony Costanzo, another pick in 2011. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Jerry Hughes, he traded him. He plays at Buffalo now. I mean, just a complete Donald. I mean, remember when they drafted Donald Brown with the first pick, a running back in 2009? I mean, just
people were hyping up that pick too.
Just a dreadful team draft-wise. I mean, they've done nothing to get better.
Yeah, trade. There you go. Another one. Kevin White trading for Trent Richardson.
Amazing. Hey, guys, when is SBR making a Champions League? Yeah, again, guys, I said it before. I'll say it again. The show's today at 3 o'clock. Okay, we're going to talk about all the Champions League. Got plenty of stuff to talk about. We'll be on at 3 o'clock. We got the weekly kickoff. We'll talk about what happened over the weekend, quite like this show, and we'll discuss Champions League. Donnie, people love the Champions League.
Looks like one does love the Champions League in there. I agree.
What else do we have in the NFL, Donnie?
No, just wrapping it up there, Jeff. I mean, we were on before the game. We previewed it. I circled the Dallas game back in June. I said all along, Jeff, I did. Whether or not Zeke Elliott played, I didn't even care. I didn't think Odell Beckham Jr. obviously would be out of the game, but just a bad spot overall. The Giants are really going to struggle this year. I mean, it's overreaction Monday. Maybe they'll bounce back. They're not going to get any time off because you're going to get Detroit fresh off a nice win on Sunday coming into town. Odell Beckham, he's probably still going to be a little bit ginger on that ankle out there. You saw everybody. All you heard in the offseason, Jeff. I would have signed Brandon Marshall over Alshon Jeffrey any day. What a combo they're going to be. He was absolutely invisible against a bad defensive secondary yesterday. An awful one. Wasn't getting open. What do you have, like one catch in like the last drive of the game, which meant nothing?
One catch for 10 yards.
Exactly. And wait, hold on, Jeff. Wait do you see Evan Ingram out there and the mismatch he's going to create? It doesn't matter if your quarterback sacks himself on 50% of the plays. It's going to get ugly up there. Yeah. And you can't just get a left tackle and a right tackle out there on the street. Eric Flowers and Hart are the single. Again, I'll get back to it. I've never seen a big money football team have tackles like that and an aging quarterback. You're asking for absolute disaster back there. Disaster.
Yeah, and I don't mean to, kind of pull my own chain here, but, look, I said it all offseason. Their offense sucks. It's not any good. You have no run game. You have no fucking at this point, your quarterback, like Donnie said, look, overall, I like Eli Manning as a professional. I think he's had a great career and he's won plenty of Super Bowls. But at this point, he's just not been very good. Their head coach is a moron. He has no idea how to call plays. And look, I mean, their offensive line is an absolute dumpster fire. Overall. Shout out Chris B. Nadu, thanks for the college picks, especially Army. Hey, Chris B., how about fucking Middle Tennessee? How about Georgia? How about all the winners I had, fuckhead? How about that? Don't come on here and bust my fucking balls, will you? Fucking prick. Donnie.
Why don't we take a little bit of a look? Because there's a couple other things that we could talk about in the NFL. We don't have to watch. How about tonight's games there a little bit?
Yeah, no, I want to get into that. One other thing. We haven't seen Jim Beam on here. Big Giant fan. I know he talked a lot of crap in the offseason.
No, I don't know. He was a little bit more even keel though. I got to give it to Jim Beam. He wasn't really antagonistic. I don't see Lauren on the chat box. Says Lauren popped in here yet?
Sergio's not on here either. Yeah, no Giant fans are on here today. They decided to decide today they weren't going to be on here, or they came in and jumped out quick. I don't know. But yeah, listen, Dak was great last night. Cole Beasley, your boy, he had a nice game. Big catch. What a catch that was.
Nice third down conversion. I mean, I wasn't that overly impressed with Dallas, but again, I like their approach. You sensed right away that the Giants weren't going to be able to win that football game by themselves. And Dallas went back into their playbook, said, let's run the football. Let's not turn it over. Let's get in some scoring drives here. Let's put them behind the gun because it was clear. Like Dallas Eli wasn't even throwing. He was so usually say Eli Manning when the going gets bad, he just throws the ball up in the air. He didn't even have time to throw the ball up in the air, which was hilarious last night. I thoroughly enjoyed the game, obviously because I had a little bit of money on Dallas that made it even sweeter. But I don't know.
We were talking about when we were doing the live show. We were going over halftime bets, and in the second quarter, it was 6-0 at the time. And I said to Gabe, I got a feeling if they score another touchdown, this game's over.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any feeling that they can come back. I took the under 22.5 in the second half. It was one of the easiest bets I've ever made. I mean, just neither team was high flying.
And by the way, if you're watching this game and you're a gambler, there's one situation which, again, I would love to have a show where we just go over coaching mistakes and ridiculous calls and what went wrong. But let me get into the mind of Jason Garrett here. Ready? We're going to march down the field. I'm going to have a first and goal at about the 2-yard line, and I'm going to throw the football 3 straight times with arguably a dominant line and one of the best backs in football, and we're going to end up with a field goal. Is that not an absolute fireable offense? It's unbelievable. You could have went up 10-0 in that game instead of 6-0, and you gave the Giants a little bit of life saying, woo, we dodged that ball. Let's just see if we can come down and maybe get some points on the board. That was unbelievable, but that's Jason Garrett. I bet on Jason Garrett last year in the playoffs against Green Bay where he, for some reason, didn't want to run Ezekiel Elliott enough. I don't know. I don't know.
It's often amazing. I mean, we hear all the time how elite these coaches are. I got to tell you, in every sport, being a coach makes it look more and more. Being a coach looks more and more easy every day because I know I sit here, Donnie, and I say to myself, I can almost call the fucking play on what they're going to do. I almost look at it and see that's exactly what they're going to do. I remember the other night with the Patriot game. I mean, and I'm not saying that I think Belichick's great, but overall, I mean, you can almost call these plays anymore. It's fucking pathetic. I mean, and a lot of these coaches don't see shit. They don't see anything. What is Doug Peterson thinking running that little out route to fucking Nelson Aguilar, a 3rd and 8, or the play when they're driving?
Down, wasn't it? Wasn't it a first down, the fumble play? I think it was a first
and you're at the 35-yard line in field goal range, up 7-0. I mean, what is your thinking pattern there?
Yeah, let me break out this play where we throw the ball backwards here, and if for some case we don't catch it, we're going to lose the football. And if somehow it works, we're going to get probably 5 yards on the play. I mean, it's not exactly ran a double reverse with a pass. It was a very risky play in that situation. But you're right. And at the end of the game, by the way, I can't wait to get down. And I didn't get a chance yet today, but I'll use NFL Rewind. I'm going to break down some situational games. I would like to see late in that Eagles game. Eagles were up 2 points with about, 2:30 on the clock. Blunt runs up the middle and gets it to within about maybe, fourth and a half of a yard. And you're not going to go for that. And the Eagles come out, and who knows with Doug P. Thank God they didn't. But they called a timeout with 2:02 on the clock, burning a timeout as opposed to just taking it to the 2-minute warning. I need to see where the play clock was at because it's another bonehead play where you don't think about it. What happens if you call the timeout at 2:02, you burn one of your timeouts, the Eagles miss the field goal, and it's only a 2-point game. Skins come down the field and kick a field goal to take a 1-point lead with 30 seconds left, and you only have 2 timeouts instead of 3 at that point. Sometimes I don't understand.
Right, and I get the timeout there because you had to decide. I don't know what really.
Well, no, there was 2. The timeout with 2:02.
No,
why not just let it go to the 2-minute warning?
Right. No, I agree. Weird. I hear you. Yeah. I will say this, Donnie, about what did I want to say? I just lost my train of thought, Donnie. That happens a lot to me all of a sudden. If I get it, I'll come back to it. Jeff, great call on Treat Cohen. You were the only guy who thought he was in the draft night. He was a stud.
Read the next one.
Yeah.
Read the next quote.
I got to tell you. I respect Nate as a sports bettor. Holy hell. This guy continues to blow up like a balloon. Yeah, Chris, I know. Again, I think we all are well aware I'm the big man on campus. So I don't think you're surprising anyone by saying that. But, hey, thank you for your keen observation. Again, thanks.
But Jeff, who was the guy?
Hey, thanks for listening, though.
Yeah, who's the guy in here that repeatedly had wanted you to get a fat head in the background and the appearance? Who always used to comment on that a couple months ago?
Jim Beam.
Was it Jim Beam? Yeah, come on, Jim.
That idiot Jim Beam, yeah. Overall, fun week of NFL. I really wanted to get to a point. I'm trying to remember what it was. But let's get into tonight's games, see what's going on. Try to find a couple winners, Donnie. We had a Sunday night winner. Let's try to grab a winner tonight as well. First of which,
love the fact. By the way, Jeff, love the fact it's a doubleheader tonight. Love it, man. That's a nice night up, hang out, relax, no stress. Well, maybe stress.
By the way, one other thing to Chris B out there. I might do what I do, but I bet you if your girl came around, I'd steal her to fuck away from you.
And give her a parlay winner.
Get your money up, cuz. Don't come in here. Go get a life. Go get a job, bro. But let's get into the first game here. Early one here, Donnie. I don't like the two games on a Monday.
What? Come on. If they do this every Monday night, I would be the happiest. Jeff, take away the Thursday game and double up on Monday night. Oh my God, I would love it, man.
You get the New Orleans Saints visiting the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings -3, over under 48. Money line, Vikings -156. Saints +136. Donnie, what do you got here? Let's break it down.
Yeah, I mean, if we're taking this game on its whole, if you say, without seeing where the money's going, to me, looking at the line at 3, it's a fair line there. Minnesota's got a really good defense. How do you stop a good offense? With a really good D. They're on the road. The one thing I like about the Saints here in this spot, though, Jeff, I think they made some improvements through the offseason. I think they're going to be able to protect Drew Brees back there. And I'm not really sold on Sam Bradford. I love Dalvin Cook. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. I don't know if Minnesota has the chops to step on the New Orleans Saints. And what I mean by that is get up 7-0, 14-0, 17-3, where you can let that defense pin their ears back and come after Drew Brees. Even though 64% of the spread tickets there are going down on New Orleans, I might be a square here in this situation, Jeff. I actually really like New Orleans in this spot. If you can keep it at 3, I know it opened up at 3.5, was bet down to 3, over under at 48. If you're asking me the way these games went over the weekend, I know a lot of the public favorites went down, or public supported teams went down. But I just look at the situation and say, points are at a premium in the NFL. I trust Drew Brees in the scenario in a dome. I think they're going to win this football game. I think not only can New Orleans cover this game, I think they might be able to win this football game. I'm going to take the points, keep it at 3 as the. I'm not going to say, hey, buy it up to 3.5 or get it down to 2.5. It's at 3 right now. If I had to take a spread play at 3, draft, give me New Orleans in the situation on the road here.
Wow. And I didn't think you'd say that. I'm pretty high on Minnesota, as we've talked about. Defense is really good. I like the bolster they did to the run game. But it's Sam Bradford. It's never easy betting on Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
It concerns me. I think you're honest.
That's my point on that, Jeff, because you'll build around this in a second. The one problem I have is that you don't really have that gunslinger in Bradford that's going to sit back there and be like, you know what? Let's go deep. Let's hit these, 20-yard outs. Let's keep pushing the ball downfield, which leads me to believe if Minnesota gets a lead, I don't know if they're going to pull away, leaving that back door might be open. But go ahead with your point there. I agree from your terminology with Minnesota. I mean, they have a lot of things that I like to look at, but go ahead and expound on that there.
Yeah, I mean, Sammy Sleeves is, you're right, a guy I don't want to back, especially if you're down. I mean, this is a vaunted attack here for Drew Brees. I do like the under, kind of. I mean, how can you not after yesterday's games?
Yeah, you're right.
I think Minnesota's defense is really good. I think they'll do a nice job of not letting, the Saints go crazy here. I wonder, the big question mark for me is the Saints defense any better? That's the big question. I mean, they were historically bad last year. I know they've done a lot of things to kind of add and get better. And we talked about it on our NFC South preview. The NFC South is really about what defense is going to step up and play well and get some stops when they need to. But, overall, you added Marshawn Lattimore. You added Alex Anzalone out of Florida at linebacker. They did make some wholesale changes. They've done a nice job over the years of bolstering this defense. It's been a long time coming, though. But, is Von Bell a good enough safety? Is Kenny Vaccaro and Ken Crawley good enough in the secondary as well? Lot of question marks there. But, again, not a terrible opponent to face week one. Not a vaunted attack. I'm kind of leaning under here at 48. I think it's a pretty good number here. This kind of reminds me a little bit of, really every game yesterday. I just think a lot of people look over just because it's the Saints and they have a bad defense. But I think overall, they can't be much worse defensively, but I think overall, I think they're going to be better than people think. I like the under here.
Yeah, if I'm looking at the overall game again, I would lean towards taking the New Orleans Saints again, just backed on information where I don't think Minnesota, Jeff, can win this game by double digits. If I thought they could do that, I would be on the side because you know me, Jeff. I love to bet home teams. Bet 3 home teams yesterday, came up 2-1, and typically like to use the public a little bit more against itself in the NFL. So this is going against everything I typically like. But then again, it is week one where you can get some surprises. And if this game is late, let's just say, Jeff, it's 20 to, which I don't think it'll be that low scoring. Let's just say, 30-20, just use a double-digit margin, and the Saints have the football. I think the Saints can drive down and get that backdoor touchdown there to at least force the issue with the push. So I'm going to lean on the New Orleans Saints in this one.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. I like your pick there. I don't have much of a feeling on the side because I do like Minnesota, but overall, I just think this total is a little too high. I think this is public perception and thinking that, again, a lot of people think that the Saints are a high scoring, which they are. But I think there's going to be a little bit more focus this year on the defense. By the way, Donnie, just one more thing about the Giants.
Yeah.
Looks like Ben McAdoo spending a little too much time at Satriali's in Newark, hanging around with the wise guys a little too much. Way too much gel in his hair.
I was going to say that. Yeah, he's doing when the wives get together and put their makeup and do their hair and their cheek.
Yeah. Way too much pomade in his hair. He looks like he should go hang out with.
If I told it, he would kill him.
Yeah, he's hanging around with Eric Mangini too much. Remember Eric Mangini was in The Sopranos one episode?
Manginius. Look, there's Manginius.
Tony goes, Carmella, the Jets coach. I gotta say hello. Goes over, says hello. Mangini makes a little cameo. But yeah, in this game, I'm going under 48. Donnie. Gonna slight lean to the Saints plus the 3 here. Donnie, Saints or money line? What do you like?
Do what? What is it?
Saints money line or you want to take the 3?
No. I'm taking the 3. 3's big in the NFL, especially in a close game. I'll take the 3.
I think I don't think this is going to move off 3. I think for the most part, you don't see a ton of line movement in the NFL. I think it'll hang at 3. You're not going to get too beat up if you're a book hanging on 3. You'll get a lot of action on both sides. Under 48 is where I'm looking. I actually might wait on the total, Donnie. I could see it going up a little bit. Maybe. Yeah,
public gets involved and they say, oh my God, Drew Brees in New Orleans. So what's that automatic? That doesn't automatically think the public says under, right? So yeah, no, I would. You probably put it this way: Pinnacle showing 47.5. You're more likely to see Pinnacle go to 48 or 48.5 than you would 46.5, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Either way, though, I think it's just a little too high. Let's. Do you remember your first blowjob, Crispy? Yeah, I asked him myself that. Do you remember that? No one wins in Minnesota in September last 3 years. All right, might keep a Viking backer here.
It's a good ball club, man. There's nothing to be said about a team that's gonna
But Donnie makes a
defense.
good point about Sammy Sleeves. I mean, if you're down in this football game,
he's not a runaway quarterback. That's all I'm saying there. When the going gets good for Sammy Sleeves, he's throwing the 6-yard out. He's not saying let's go for it and just dot this I for the 46-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I hear you. The other game, 10-20 or 10-30. Yep. It's just kind of cool, though. You'd be up late watching a little football.
Good point. I love it.
Yeah. You get the Broncos laying 2.5 to the Chargers, over under 42. Money line minus 145, Chargers plus 125. This number's coming down a little bit. If you got 3.5 and you already bet it, shame on you. This one's down to 2.5. If you like Denver. Not a lot of people are excited about the concept of Trevor Siemian being the quarterback. Big problem for me with Denver is I like this team. I really do. I think defensively they're so stout. I have them in my fantasy league. I love this defense. Overall, I always have. They have good receivers, good run game, but can Trevor Siemian just be Alex Smith? That's really all we're hoping for here. Make the occasional good throw. Don't make many mistakes. I think the Chargers are just a team that it just seems like every year they look like on paper initially in the draft, and they look kind of fortunate. They look good with a good quarterback and a legendary quarterback in Rivers, and they have some good things coming. But then something happens, they get a couple injuries, and before you know it, they look like that same old team. Defensively, they seem to never make any wholesale changes defensively. They always look like a bend but don't break defense. Usually they break. I'm just not really excited about the fact of them going into Denver here and upsetting Denver. I know Denver has the quarterback problem, but overall, I'm not as concerned about Siemian as I was like 2 months ago.
Interesting line movement. Yeah, Chris opens up at 5. Obviously, Chris is now showing at 2.5. Pinnacle opened up at 3.5. They're now sitting at 3 plus 106. And I agree with the line movement in this one. I look at early season games. I know Phillip Rivers is going to pull up in this game, and he's going to be ready to take the Chargers on 10 to 12 play drives. The Chargers are kings of death by 1,000 cuts offense. What I mean by that, a 3-yard run, a 4-yard pass, followed by another 4-yard pass, followed by a 3-yard run, a 5-yard pass, a 4-yard pass. Just slicing you up down the field, taking that time away. And I trust Phillip Rivers way more than I do Siemian. I agree with the line movement. I'll take the points. If you can get it at 3, fantastic. But I'm leading both of these quarterbacks on the road here. Veterans know how to get it done, know how to win in the big environment. Give me the 3 points if you can get it there with the Chargers tonight.
Yeah, we're on opposite sides here, Donnie. Yeah. I'm not really interested in a 2.5 number. That's not good in general. You're off that key 3 number. Yeah. Listen, I don't know that they've gotten that much better, really, the Chargers. I like their draft picks. I like some of the things they did there, but both of them got injured. Rivers, and I think needs to be talked about. I think Gabriel Morency did a good job of kind of exploiting this. Listen, Donnie, if you're Rivers, I mean, you drive, 2 hours a day to travel? I mean, it's something no one else does. I mean,
I thought they had that luxury SUV, though, with the big screens in the back that you can just lounge, man, watch a little bit of game film.
Okay, well, so I guess, you're saying he has a driver or something. Good point. Yeah. Overall, I guess, but, I mean, still.
With his 19 kids, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of kids. Doesn't want their kids growing up in L.A. All right. Listen, here's the problem when you shelter your kids, Philip. They want to go out and do stuff that everyone else is doing. And in this world, you can't keep your kids sheltered, dude. I don't know what thinking pattern is there. You're not going to grow up on Skid Row, for God's sakes. You grew up in Westwood, live on a mountain, buy a big home overlooking L.A. Your kids aren't going to go out and see drugs in the street or hookers. I mean, look, unfortunately, Philip, a lot of kids have to grow up that way. I went to public school. I did fine. Donnie went to public school, I think. He did fine. Yeah, don't shelter your kids, because sheltering your kids is doing the opposite of what you wanted to do. I got to tell you, Donnie, I've grown up around a lot of Catholic school kids, and they were some of the worst kids I've ever encountered.
So you want your kid. I mean, obviously, you don't want your kids put in bad situations, but you want your kids put in all type of situations around all type of kids, because if you raise them the right way and they're good kids, they'll make the right decision.
Right.
Kids say, "Let's go into the store. Hey, let's steal some, candy." When you're 9 years old, most kids that are raised are like, "Dude, you go in there and do that. I'll be hanging out here." It's the same way.
I got to tell you, Donnie, it's all about your parenting skills. Okay, I had great parents. They taught me right from wrong. I've hung out with a lot of bad people, but at the end of the day, I almost try to know right from wrong, and I kind of evaded that for the most part, a little bit. Overall, if you teach your kids right from wrong, they'll do right. So as far as when you when you shove into your kid's head that you got to be like this, you got to be like that, the Lord
like the Menendez brothers are coming up on the thing. You know, the two kids that are spoiled, their dad cut off their credit card. So instead of reacting and saying, let me get back in the good graces and work hard, I'll just kill my parents because I want the money.
Yeah, right. And again, we're not going to make the show religious, but, we can pray all we want to God, and the Lord will get us through. Sometimes, reality hits you. Okay. And at the end of the day, you can shove all that into your kid's head, but they got to go out and live in the world themselves. Okay. I mean, you brought them into it, but they got to live in it. So, as far as, again, San Diego is a beautiful place. But, to do that every day sounds a little much. Yeah. For me, though, Chargers are 0-4 in their last 4 as an underdog of 3 points or less. They don't win these kind of games. I've had trouble with close games. Look at last year, had a major problem with closing games out, seem to always be on the wrong side of these games. Going into Invesco Field, I think it's called, I'm not really too happy or excited about that. For me, I'm going to disagree with Donnie. I think we're getting a better number here. I'm going to take a shot. So I guess you pick who you like here most and go with who you like most. For me, under 48 in first game, I'll go Denver minus 2.5 on the other game.
No, I like it. I mean, you have 2 good games here, both lines at 3, 2.5, depending on where you're getting at. So hopefully we'll get 2 good football games to watch. And again, I love the doubleheader, man. 7 o'clock. What do we usually do around 7 o'clock? We watch baseball. We bitch and moan about the strike zone. Now you can just get right into football at 7 and then right at 10 o'clock as well. Good night ahead.
I agree. These looters in Miami breaking the Foot Lockers are a disgrace. I mean, looters are going to happen in every single natural disaster. By the way, they were all arrested. Yeah, listen, we have to remember, I'm not making excuses for people, but there are optimists out there that think that they're going to be opportunists and go and try to get shoes. I had to laugh at some of these people at T-Mobile, breaking into T-Mobile in Orlando, like phones can't be tracked. And they're just
Jeffy, let's talk about the looters that go into the Foot Locker. They're carrying out boxes of shoes. The best part about it is they're breaking in when there is like a live television feed, taping them breaking in. And it's not like, Jeff, you ran in with a hoodie on and you ran down the street. You got into your car with the license plate clearly visible right in front of them. Not the smartest people in the world.
No, definitely not. And, look, it happens every time. I mean, I saw down in one of those, countries down in the Caribbean. I mean, there are people breaking in with machine guns and they're taking stores over and stuff. Look, I mean, they're sneakers. I mean, come on. I mean, but again, they all got arrested. So
and a lot of those boxes were Adidas, Jeff. They weren't even Jordans, man. I mean, if you're going to make the break, make the break.
Yeah, dude, what was up with that? I see blue boxes coming out.
Yeah, I know you were disappointed at that.
Come on, man. Like, where are your breads and where are the Yeezys? I mean, what's funny though? That's just so funny about sneaker stores. All the expensive sneakers are locked. You're not going to get to them. So you're not going to get to the big time money shoes. So you want to go ahead and steal some Adidas. And Air Maxes, go ahead. Not going to get much on the street for them. But, Donnie, by the way, and I don't know if anyone knows this, but there's a lot of facial recognition now. And I know in Baltimore, during those riots, they arrested every single person involved with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's cameras everywhere on you. And it's block to block. Even if you walk in, like in the Baltimore, they were going in that CVS that was on fire. If you walk around the corner, they got you on film. But then they could just patch into the next corner. And, oh, look, he went into 1315 Thompson Street. Oh, he actually lives there. Gotcha. Jeez, come on.
There are plenty of cops that have nothing better to do but sit in a room and analyze every single person.
Follow you block to block to block, and oh, look, you got into this car. Here's your license plate. We got you.
Right.
Yes.
And most of the time, they're not going to go away. So the logical thing there would be to just stay away. The $300, $400, $500 you're going to make. I never understood bank robberies. Never understood it. When have you ever seen a bank robber get away, Donnie? Does it ever happen?
Yeah, very rare, very, very rare these days. You're right.
It's the federal government. They never run out of resources, ever. Ever. They have more money than the government has. Okay? It's stupid. Bad idea. Donnie, that wraps up the show for today. We're going to get out of here. Thanks to all the great listeners. A lot of people watching today. We have over, I think, Donnie, 7,000 views on the Betcast show last night. Now, that's a lot. We had a lot of good people in there. It was fun. We've had a lot of shows and the stuff's, view-wise going up. Awesome stuff as always. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, 12:30 Eastern. Donnie, do you have a show today at 6 o'clock?
6 p.m. Be back on the closing line. We'll set you up. We'll take a look at baseball teeing it up. What 7 o'clock? Those games, full slate there as well. Obviously, more emphasis on both of those NFL games. We'll do a little bit of a recap over the weekend, but we'll sort of get you set for the week coming. Have a lot of fun. So join me tonight, 6 p.m. on the closing line.
Hey, Donnie.
Yep.
Before we go, one other thing on the hurricane. Did you see all those yachts that were like literally sinking?
No.
Like there were boats just like getting, trashed.
Yeah, you get a new boat, man. Hey, congratulations, all those people down there with insurance. Get a new boat.
I'm going to get my boat out of the water, man.
Mm.
But again, interesting stuff all the way. Hopefully, everyone down there is okay. Didn't look as bad, I think they thought it'd be. So that's good. Everyone have a great day. I'll be back at 3 o'clock, breaking down Champions League and doing some soccer stuff. Catch me then. Catch Donnie later tonight. We'll be back tomorrow at 12:30 here on the Right Side again. Bye.